It's Friday, June 14. This is the news on PBCJ. I am Simone Absalom. Ministry of Health and Wellness yesterday issued a travel advisory on 12 countries, including the United States and Canada, in light of an outbreak of measles virus in the region. The other countries identified are Argentina, the Bahamas, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, Mexico, Peru, Uruguay, and Venezuela. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Jacqueline Bissessa McKenzie yesterday advised travelers to these countries to ensure that they are adequately protected. She said measles is a highly contagious viral disease affecting mainly children. Vaccination is the only way to prevent the spread of measles. 2 doses of the MMR, that's the measles, mumps, rubella vaccine, are needed to provide full protection against the disease. She added that Jamaica has prioritized MMR vaccination for children 10 years and younger, and said the Ministry of Health and Wellness provides vaccines free of cost to children. It's being reported that a decision has been made to close Ward 3 at the Spanish Town Hospital in St. Catherine due to reports of rat infestation. Alarm was raised after a patient complained that she had been bitten by one of the rats. Chief Public Health Inspector Grayson Hutchinson disclosed at Thursday's sitting of the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation that some patients on Ward 3 have been relocated to Ward 4, while others have been discharged. Mayor of Spanish Town, Norman Scott, instructed Mr. Hutchinson to ascertain whether there has been an increase in the rodent population in communities near the hospital. Cabinet has endorsed the selection of Richard Biles to succeed Brian Winter as governor of the Bank of Jamaica. Minister of Finance and Public Service Dr. Nigel Clark, who made the announcement in a statement yesterday, said Biles will take over on August 19. Biles has had a 40-year career in business and finance and is one of the most accomplished corporate leaders of his generation. Mr. Biles was co-chair of the Economic Program Oversight Committee formed to monitor Jamaica's performance under its IMF agreement. Biles holds BSc and MSc degrees in economics and national development. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the sexual harassment bill, which seeks to protect women from violence, harassment and discriminatory practices in the workplace, is to be tabled in Parliament soon. The Prime Minister was addressing the high-level meeting of the 108th session of the International Labour Organization conference on Wednesday in Geneva, Switzerland.
We are also working to address issues of gender discrimination and social protection for all workers. The sexual harassment bill to primarily protect women from violence, harassment and discriminatory practices in the workplace is soon to be tabled in our Parliament. Decent work must ultimately mean that the worker can create wealth and own assets from their effort.
Holness also reported that the government has ratified the Convention concerning decent work for domestic workers, who seeks to set employment standards and secure rights for domestic workers.
We have tabled the Occupational Safety and Health Bill, which is now making its way through a joint select committee of Parliament. When this bill is passed, it will establish a robust legal framework to protect and enhance the health and safety of the Jamaican worker in the workplace. To protect one of our most vulnerable group of workers, the government ratified the Convention concerning decent work for domestic workers.
The Prime Minister, who presented on the topic Advancing Social Justice, Promoting Decent Work, was on a working visit to Switzerland. The high-level meeting was the highlight of the Centenary Conference, which hosted more than 6,000 delegates from across the globe. Arguments continued on Wednesday as the Human Resource and Human Development Committee of Parliament met. The committee is reviewing recommendations made for legalization of abortion. Presentations in support of pro-choice was heard by the committee. In that regard, Shakira Maxwell and Joan French of the Partnership for Women's Health and Well-Being made strong submissions.
Women have been having abortions for centuries, and make this choice because of a range of diverse issues and adverse circumstances that affect their lives. Currently, they are dying from unsafe abortions because of the current law. And in instances where they do not die, many suffer severe consequences. Most of us know someone who has had an abortion. Do we really want them to go to prison for this decision? The World Health Organization estimates that some 22,000 abortions are performed in Jamaica each year. A publication by McCaw-Binns in 2018 spoke to the fact that the outcomes from unsafe abortions were the third direct cause of maternal mortality in Jamaica, with teenagers most at risk. Are we as a nation going to continue with an old draconian law which fails to provide women with their basic human rights?
We need to recognize her right to be able to control that, to make a decision about something that is inside of and her body, and to decide whether in fact she is going to carry to term and bring a child into the world, or whether her circumstances do not make that a wise decision. We have to trust women. We have to trust women in the same way that we trust men when we put laws before them. Women are able to make decisions. We are equal citizens. And although we are not equal in the parliament yet, and although it is true that even if we were, not every woman is going to be pro-choice, and not every man is anti-choice.
However, Remain Stewart was not having it. He pushed back with a strong anti-abortion message. One plank of his argument was to rubbish the justification of rape and incest as justifications for direct abortion.
Two wrongs do not make a right. Just as how rape and incest are always wrong, so it is with direct abortion. You know, some people would say, oh, well, she dressed seductively, therefore she asked for it. They're trying to reason rape as a right, as something correct. Just as how ridiculous as that sounds, it is equally ridiculous to attempt to justify abortion.
East St. Thomas Member of Parliament and former Health Minister Fenton Ferguson said the issue of abortion is one that the House of Representatives must decide on.
I do believe that, based on information, in due course, I believe that our Parliament must also have the courage to take the kind of decision. And I know it was raised as to whether it was going to be a conscience vote or whether it is going to be that the whip in both political parties would be on members. But I really believe that the essence of this kind of committee and the deliberation is for us.
The review was prompted by a motion brought to Parliament by MP Juliet Cuthbert-Flynn last year. The 8th staging of the Diaspora Conference 2019 will kick off this weekend at the Jamaica Conference Center in Kingston and will run from June 16 to June 20. It will be held under the theme Jamaica and the Diaspora, Building Pathways for Sustainable Development. The conference will focus on the diaspora and Jamaica working collaboratively to prepare effectively for the future within the context of achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and Agenda 2030, which incorporates Jamaica's Vision 2030. Speaking at a recent JIS think tank session, Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade Minister Kamina Johnson-Smith spoke to this.
Our intention is to broaden our conversation about sustainable development with our diaspora, because the fact is that we will never attain all our sustainable development goals unless we harness all our human resources, which must include not only Jamaicans here, but Jamaicans abroad. So our people being our greatest asset, that must include Jamaicans at home and abroad.
But what are the tangible outcomes expected from the forum?
This is because one of the outcomes will be the endorsement of our national diaspora policy. This policy has been long awaited. When I assumed office as minister, I inherited a draft policy and we have reviewed it. We have incorporated the Sustainable Development Goals. We've incorporated the national Migration and Development Policy, which was approved in 2017, and therefore includes the International Organization for Migration's principles around migration and development. And we've also ensured that there has been even broader consultation on not only the last draft, but on further discussions of the Economic Growth Council, which you may recall in 2016 issued a call to action, which included as one of the 8 pillars of action, leveraging the diaspora.
This biennial event is a signature forum which brings together Jamaicans and stakeholders at home and abroad to consider and collaborate on issues of national importance, while simultaneously addressing issues of importance to the diaspora and in their countries of residence. The police say they have issued 250,000 traffic tickets for breaches of the Road Traffic Act since the start of this year. Assistant Commissioner Calvin Allen, head of the Public Safety and Traffic Enforcement Branch, said this represents a 12% increase over the corresponding period in 2018. The police have arrested and prosecuted 45 people who had a combined 20,000 outstanding tickets. The individuals, who are all from the corporate area, have appeared in court. ACP Allen says more than 4,000 vehicles were also seized for being operated without a road license or operating contrary to the terms of the license. A curfew has been imposed in sections of Bowens Road, Kingston 11. The curfew began at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, June 12, and will continue until 6 p.m. Friday, June 14. The boundaries of the curfew are as follows: north along Bowens Road from Crescent Road to Norman Lane, south along Spanish Down Road from Norman Lane to Crescent Road, east along Norman Lane from Bowens Road to Spanish Down Road, west along Crescent Road from Spanish Down Road to Bowens Road. During the hours of the curfew, all persons within the boundaries are required to remain within their premises unless authorized in writing by the ground commander. The Jamaica Civil Aviation Authority, the JCAA, says it is developing guidelines to govern the operations of drones in Jamaica. That is, in addition to its new strategic goals designed to guide its navigation modernization programs over the next 5 years. Commercial and recreational operators of drones have consistently been advised to contact the JCAA to obtain permits and to assist to ensure they are not flying into restricted airspace, which could result in accidents and injuries. The authority considers drones as new technology, and while the regulations are being developed, it has been trying to ensure that operators are competent enough and safe in their usage to ensure a smooth transition when the regulations come into effect. The US dollar on Thursday, June 13, ended trading at Jamaican $130.30, up by 15 cents. That's according to the Bank of Jamaica's daily foreign exchange trading summary. The Canadian dollar ended trading at Jamaican $97.87, down from $98.16, while the British pound sterling ended trading at Jamaican $166.35, up from $165.37. In regional news, the number of people who have left Venezuela to escape the country's ongoing political and economic crisis has reached some 4 million, says the UN. In a joint statement, the International Organization for Migration and UN Refugee Agency described the scale of the exodus as staggering, with the number of displaced people jumping by 1 million over a 7-month period from November 2018. Eduardo Stein, joint UNHCR IOM Special Representative for Venezuelan Refugees and Migrants, said, quote, "These alarming figures highlight the urgent need to support host communities in the receiving countries," end quote. Most of the Venezuelans who have fled are being hosted in Latin America. More than half are in Colombia and Peru, followed by Chile and Ecuador. Caribbean nation Trinidad and Tobago has also been accepting Venezuelan refugees. Over in cricket, Test batsmen Craig Brathwaite and Ruston Chase will lead a star-studded West Indies A on India's A tour of the Caribbean starting next month in preparation for the Senior Series to follow in August. Brathwaite, the Test vice-captain, will be at the helm for the first 2 4-day tests, while Chase will take charge of the one-day squad for the 5-match series. Meanwhile, Shamar Brooks will lead Windies A for the final 4-day test. And that's the news on PBCJ. I'm Simone Absalom. Pleasant viewing.